Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Be Like Christ. Today's an exciting day because we're going to talk about what I think is pretty much, without doubt, the most popular psalm in all 150 psalms. This is Psalm 23. And even if you're somebody who's never gone to church or you haven't been around the Bible a whole lot, you've probably almost certainly heard this psalm. It's read a lot at funerals and a lot of other places. You just see references to it hanging up in people's houses or whatever. So let's talk about the most famous psalm, Psalm 23. It was written by David, and interestingly, although it's the most famous to us, there aren't any New Testament references that I'm aware of back to Psalm 23. As far as our themes, I've boiled it down to two themes. The first one is God is a good shepherd who leads his people to comfort and to safety. And then number two, God has abundant blessings for those who are in his care. And that takes us down to our one definition, and that's the house of the Lord. Now, the house of the Lord has a couple potential definitions as you read through the Bible. Sometimes it refers to heaven, sometimes it refers to the temple in Jerusalem, but it seems that here in Psalm 23, verse 6, that David is using it to refer to being in God's care and his protection on the earth. And perhaps he also means later on after his death when he's in heaven with God. All right, so that takes us to our outline section, and there's only 6 verses in this Psalm. It's not very long. It's an easy Psalm to memorize, and a lot of people have memorized it, so maybe that would be a good thing to do. Psalm 23, 1 through 6, the Lord is my shepherd. That, basically has to be the title of the section here. David portrays God as a good shepherd who guides him through life, and that's really the theme of the psalm. God is a shepherd who takes care of people, who takes care of those who love him. He guides them through difficult things. He leads them through troubles and trials. He ultimately blesses them. And I guess I'm getting ahead of myself in the outline, so let's go back to our notes. David says that when God is his shepherd, his guide, he is in need of nothing. He says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Now, I cannot be the only one who, when I was younger, I never understood this passage because I always thought David was saying, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Like, the Lord is my shepherd and I don't want him. He's the shepherd that I don't want. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Until, I got a little older and understood the older English a little bit better. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I don't have need of anything. I shall not have want of anything. That's what he's saying there. Let me know down in the comments if you ever read it like I did originally when I was younger. He says that God leads him in quiet places of rest and peace. He leads him in the paths of righteousness. It says he leads him beside the still waters. Whenever David had to face dark and dreadful experiences, he knew that God was going to be with him, guiding him, protecting him with his shepherd's rod. A shepherd carries a stick, and sometimes that's used to beat off enemies or to protect the sheep in some way. David says, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me." In the presence of David's enemies, God was going to exalt him, providing him with abundant and overflowing blessings. "Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies, my cup runneth over." And David ends his short psalm with an expression of confidence that the rest of his life was going to be marked by the goodness of God towards him. He says in verse 6, quote, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever." So Psalm 23 is a very relatable psalm, a very short psalm, and a very beautiful psalm. So I think that's probably, all those factors contribute to its popularity in the modern day, and certainly it's a great sentiment to express pretty much at any time. And that kind of takes us down into our application section. As we think about Psalm 23, it's very widely known, but not always applied. So let's take it and embrace its message, and apply it into our lives. It is the Good Shepherd, it is God who offers the best life. Submitting the direction of your life over to him is the wisest decision that you can make because he knows best how to care for sheep. We may not like to think of ourselves as sheep, but when you think about our situation, we really are like sheep. We don't know best how to navigate this life. There are too many surprises, too many enemies, too many corners that we can't see around. The shepherd, on the other hand, knows the land. He knows where to find pasture. He knows where the enemies are lurking. He knows the pitfalls, and he offers safety to those who will join his flock. So don't go it alone and get gobbled up by one of Satan's wolves. The Good Shepherd will help you to avoid every danger, and he'll ultimately lead you to safety, to heaven, where you will live with him forever. I was thinking of an illustration of this, and maybe this is something that people will relate to in the younger generation, but let's say that you're in a contest and you're playing a video game, and if you can beat this video game without dying a single time, you get $1 million, let's say. Well, for most video games, that's pretty much impossible. You know why? Because you don't know you don't know the pitfalls, you don't know the surprises, you don't know the enemies, you don't know what the bosses are like, you don't know their moves, and so there's so much ahead of you that you don't know that dying is almost inevitable. But let's say they say, the people who are running this contest say to you, well, if you want, we can give you a guide, an expert at this game who's played the game 100 times, and he can be your advisor to lead you through the game. So you can either go it alone or you can use this advisor. Well, it's not even a question that you would take the advisor. He's going to be able to tell you what's ahead. Think about our lives. We only get to live once. When we die, it's game over. And without a guide showing us the pitfalls, exposing the lies of Satan, exposing the corners that he's creeping around, right? We're done for. So Jesus, or God here, is represented as the Good Shepherd, and he's offering to lead us through life. We would be fools not to take to become a part of his flock and to follow him through life. Going it alone is certain death. We're destined to be ruined. And so why would you do that? So that's kind of the way that God is presented in Psalm 23 as the Good Shepherd. Follow him. That's the only way that you're going to make it through life and be blessed in the presence of God forever.